I want an open marriage." Her words hung in the air, each syllable a tiny hammer blow against the foundation of our life together. 25 years. We were supposed to be celebrating our silver anniversary, not dissecting the remains of our vows. The cake sat untouched, a symbol of the festivity that had turned into a nightmare. My wife, the woman who knew my every dream, every fear, now felt like a stranger. Her eyes, once filled with warmth and understanding, were now distant, as if she was looking through me rather than at me. The room seemed to tilt, the familiar furniture taking on a menacing aura. Open marriage. The words echoed in my mind, distorting the reality I thought I knew. The very phrase felt like a betrayal, a violation of everything we held sacred. Our wedding rings, symbols of our commitment, now seemed like cold, lifeless metal. My mind, usually so quick to analyze and rationalize, sputtered and stalled. I was a man of logic, but this defied all logic. How could she want this? Why now? All I could manage was a strangled, "What?" The look on her face was a mixture of defiance and fear. She was bracing herself for my reaction, yet there was a glimmer of hope in her eyes, as if she believed this could somehow save us. Fear of my reaction, perhaps, but also the fear of someone stepping outside the safety of the known into the terrifying wilderness of the unknown. She was scared, but determined. This was not a whim. It was something she had thought about deeply. In that moment, I realized that I wasn't the only one who felt lost. We were both navigating uncharted waters, unsure of where we would end up. The distance between us on the couch felt like miles. We were two souls adrift, clinging to the wreckage of what we once believed was an unsinkable love. The ocean before us seemed vast and endless, much like the uncertainty we now faced. I reached out, my hand trembling. She hesitated, then took it. In that small gesture, there was a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, we could navigate this storm together. As we walked along the beach, our footprints side by side, I realized that this conversation, as painful as it was, could be the beginning of a new chapter. A chapter where we redefine what love and commitment mean to us. The sun was setting, casting a golden glow over the water. It was a reminder that even the darkest moments can lead to beautiful new beginnings. We stood there, watching the horizon, knowing that the journey ahead would be challenging, but also filled with possibilities. We embraced, holding on to each other tightly. In that embrace, there was a promise to face whatever comes our way, together. The conversation that changed everything had also given us a chance to rebuild, to rediscover each other, and to find a new way forward. As we walked away hand in hand, I felt a sense of resolve. This was not the end, but a new beginning, and together we would find our way. 25 years. We'd built a life together brick by solid brick. From the giddy excitement of our early courtship, through the sleepless nights of new parenthood, to the quiet contentment of watching our children blossom into adulthood, we had weathered it all. We had evolved from passionate lovers to best friends, comfortable companions sharing the journey of life. Our marriage wasn't perfect, of course. We'd had our share of disagreements, the occasional slammed door, the simmering resentments that inevitably arise when two people try to merge their lives into one. But we always worked through it, always found our way back to each other. Until now. Her declaration felt like an indictment, a claim that our years together hadn't been enough. It made me question everything we had built. Had our love simply faded? Had we become too comfortable, too complacent in our routines? Or was this, as she claimed, about her own need for personal growth, for something more? It's not you, it's me. The oldest excuse in the book, yet hearing it from my wife's lips felt like a punch to the gut. It was as if the ground beneath me had shifted, leaving me unsteady and unsure of what to hold on to. She spoke of seeking new experiences, of reigniting a spark that she felt had dimmed. Her eyes lit up with a fervor I hadn't seen in years, a fervor that was both mesmerizing and terrifying. She craved excitement, adventure, a reawakening of her senses. She wanted to feel alive again, to chase dreams that had been buried under the weight of routine and familiarity. And this, she believed, could only be found outside the confines of our marriage. The walls we had built together now seemed like barriers to her freedom, her self-discovery. I listened, my heart cracking a little more with each word. Each sentence felt like a dagger, cutting deeper into the fabric of our shared life. Was I not exciting enough anymore? Had I become a shadow of the man she once fell in love with? These questions haunted me, echoing in the silence of our home. Had I become predictable, boring, the embodiment of everything she no longer desired? The routines that once brought us comfort now seemed like chains, binding her to a life she no longer wanted. It was a bitter pill to swallow, this realization that the woman I loved no longer saw me as the answer to her desires. The memories of our happier times felt like a cruel reminder of what we had lost. She insisted that she still loved me, that our bond ran deep. But her words felt hollow, a desperate attempt to soften the blow of her confession. But love, it seemed, was a fluid, ever-changing thing, capable of expanding to encompass desires I couldn't fulfill. It was a force that could both bind us together and tear us apart. She yearned for something more, something different. The life we had built together was no longer enough to satisfy her restless spirit, and I, it seemed, was an obstacle in her path to self-discovery. I was the anchor holding her back from the adventures she longed to pursue, the dreams she wanted to chase. As I sat alone, surrounded by the remnants of our life together, I couldn't help but wonder where we went wrong. Was there something I could have done differently? Could I have been more attentive, more adventurous, more everything she needed? The reality of her departure loomed over me like a dark cloud. The thought of her leaving, of our life together coming to an end, was almost too much to bear. I knew that I had to let her go, to allow her the freedom to find herself, even if it meant losing her in the process. It was a painful truth, but one that I had to accept. As she walked away, I felt a mix of emotions: sadness, anger, confusion, and a glimmer of hope. Hope that maybe, just maybe, this journey would lead her back to me, to us. For now, all I could do was wait and see what the future held. The path ahead was uncertain, but I knew that I had to face it with courage and an open heart. And so, with a heavy heart and a hopeful spirit, I took my first step into the unknown, ready to embrace whatever came next. Communication had always been our strength, or so I thought. We prided ourselves on our ability to connect, to share, to understand each other deeply. It was the foundation of our relationship, the bedrock upon which we built our lives together. We could talk for hours, dissecting our days, sharing our dreams, and weaving our future plans. Our conversations were filled with laughter, warmth, and a sense of togetherness that made us feel invincible. We would unravel the complexities of life together, finding solace in each other's words and comfort in our shared experiences. Every discussion brought us closer. Every story shared was a thread that strengthened the fabric of our bond. But somewhere along the way, we had stopped really listening. The words were still there, but the meaning behind them had faded. We spoke, but we no longer heard each other. The connection that once felt so strong began to fray. We had become so accustomed to each other's presence that we no longer heard the whispers of discontent, the subtle signs that something was amiss. The unspoken longings that festered beneath the surface went unnoticed, ignored in the hustle and bustle of daily life. The unspoken longings that festered beneath the surface grew louder, demanding to be acknowledged. Her desire for an open marriage wasn't a sudden whim. It was the culmination of years of unvoiced needs, of desires suppressed and dreams deferred. Her desire for an open marriage wasn't a sudden whim. It was the culmination of years of unvoiced needs, of desires suppressed and dreams deferred. She had tried to communicate, to express her feelings, but her words fell on deaf ears. It was the culmination of years of unvoiced needs, of desires suppressed and dreams deferred. We had become so caught up in the roles we played, husband, wife, parents, that we had forgotten how to be lovers, how to nurture the spark that had ignited our love all those years ago. We had become so caught up in the roles we played, husband, wife, parents, that we had forgotten how to be lovers, how to nurture the spark that had ignited our love all those years ago. The responsibilities of life had overshadowed the romance, leaving us feeling disconnected and alone. Now the silence between us was deafening. Every unspoken word, every hesitant glance felt like a betrayal. The distance between us grew with each passing day, and the love that once burned so brightly now flickered like a dying flame. We were like two ships passing in the night, each on a different course, the once bright beacon of our love, now a distant, flickering light. The memories of our past, the moments of joy and connection, seemed like a distant dream. Now, the silence between us was deafening. Every unspoken word, every hesitant glance felt like a betrayal. The distance between us grew with each passing day, and the love that once burned so brightly now flickered like a dying flame. We were like two ships passing in the night, each on a different course. The once bright beacon of our love, now a distant, flickering light. The memories of our past, the moments of joy and connection, seemed like a distant dream, each on a different course. The once bright beacon of our love, now a distant, flickering light. The memories of our past, the moments of joy and connection, seemed like a distant dream. We had lost our way, and the path back to each other seemed unclear. The once bright beacon of our love, now a distant, flickering light. The memories of our past, the moments of joy and connection, seemed like a distant dream. We had lost our way, and the path back to each other seemed unclear. But perhaps, with time and effort, we could find our way back to the love that once defined us.